My first pick of the day is The Education of Alma Obama. Now, Alma Obama is Barack Obama's half-sister. She does not live in the US, she lives in Kenya, and it's an amazing story. This is a documentary about a woman who grew up with the same kind of environment, same father as Barack Obama, but she went to Europe to do her education, and then she decided to go back to Kenya, where she works as an activist. She trains people there, and it's really the story of a woman who has decided to devote her life to public service, like her brother, but in a completely different context. And you really get to know Barack Obama a little bit more by understanding how his sister has lived her life. Another pick for the day is called Alois Nebel. This is a Czech film, and it is done with rotoscope animation, which is an amazing form. It's shot with live action, but then completely animated, and this one is in black and white as well. The story is about a train dispatcher in 1989 in the Czech Republic. That was, of course, a pivotal year as everything was changing. Communism was falling, but then he flashes back to the Second World War as well. So what you get is a story of a man who works in trains, and you get the complete history of the 20th century in Europe, in Central Europe, through this man's life, the Second World War, what trains meant in terms of the Holocaust in Europe at the time, and how the history developed from that point in the Second World War through the fall of communism. It's a beautiful story and is told with this incredible visual style through that rotoscope animation. Another pick for the day is called Urbanized, and the idea here is about how we live in cities. So Urbanized is all about thinkers, urban planners, politicians, the people who build our cities, who shape our cities. He travels all over the world and gives us a picture of how these cities work as machines in a way. And if you live in a city, as most of us do, I think you'll get a lot out of this film. Another pick for the day is called Mr. Tree. This film is from China, and it's a portrait of a simple village mechanic, a bit of a fool, really. But through a portrait of this man, you get to understand the entire village. He's kind of the simple, somewhat dim-witted guy in the village, but through his actions, you understand everybody else's hypocrisies, how this village works, all of those sort of local politics within this small village. The interesting thing is, this is a portrait of a China that's fast changing. These small villages are disappearing. Everything's becoming very fast-moving in China today, and this is really an attempt to capture some of how China used to live as it changes and quickly disappears. Another pick for the day is a film called Elle, starring Juliette Binoche. She's a great French actress, and this is her best performance since she worked in a film by Krzysztof Kieslowski many years ago called Three Colors Blue. Now here again, she's working for a Polish director, although in a French film, a new Polish director named Małgorzata Szymowska, and this is the story of a magazine writer. She writes for the magazine Elle in Paris, and she's doing a story about young women, teenage girls really, who sell their bodies, not so much for money, but for nice things, for apartments, for clothes. Paris is a very expensive city, and these girls are educated. They don't necessarily need the money, but they just like to have a little bit of extra cash, and they're willing to have sex with older men to get it. It's a fascinating story, and you see it through the eyes of this magazine journalist played by Juliette Binoche as she comes to terms with how these young women's values are so different from her own.